Hello everyone, welcome to Perseverance IAS. Today is Monday, September 20. Hope you have had a very productive and a restful Sunday. Today is Monday. Let us crack on with a new week with new energy. Now, remember, this is a slow and steady race. We are going to win it and we are going to succeed. Now, let us begin with the first article that we have to read in the Hindu newspaper for our competitive exams. So the first article is NRC's final rules Assam Foreigners Tribunal. Two things, NRC, CAA, what are foreigner tribunals? From that perspective, this article becomes very important. Please expect a question either in prelims or in mains. Okay, please do read the background information a bit. Now moving on to the next. 1.2 lakh deaths in road accidents in 2020 NCRB. Now, remember what you have to read from this article. NCRB, what is NCRB? What are the statistics? What are these differences? Now, try to read as to what were the reasons that led to these kinds of numbers in road accidents. That might be important for us. From that perspective, this article becomes important. Now, Hindi gains due to demographic shift. This is an important article. Anything that is related to language, language becomes important in our country. Okay, from that perspective, read this article. If you could, try to read a little bit of historic perspective, in the sense that were there any language based or language centric commissions that were set up by the government of India, which they did. I'm not going to spoil that for you. I want you to go and search and learn about it. Okay, prelims question important. Now moving on to next. Now coming to page number 6, editorial. The first article is the relative income subjective well-being connect. This is again an economy related article. I don't see much of an importance from the exam perspective, but nonetheless read what they are talking about, understand the concept. That is more than enough for you to concentrate. Now moving on, a spike. This is again in relations to infection rise in states and districts. Again, this is related to COVID-19. See, don't go for the data, don't go for the narrative. If you find any information that is useful for your mains answer writing, enough. Apart from that, don't even bother, because it's a waste of time. Now moving on to the next, holding TNCs accountable. Two things to read from this. What are TNCs? What are BITs? Bilateral investment treaties. Very important, given the recent agreement that India is trying to make with Britain, with US, and now with Australia. Very significant. Learn the concepts, possibly will help you in answer writing and in also prelims. Now, this is the most important editorial. Empathy through education. What is empathy? Why is the need? Why is there a need for empathetical teaching in our country? Remember, empathy is one way that we can solve a lot of issues in our society, right? You have this issue where you are seeing a rise in percentage of crime against women. That happens because the societal factors. Not only that, that also happens due to the conditions under which an individual grows up into an adult. So with this empathetical approach towards problems, we might find success in addressing those issues. So please do concentrate on what they are talking about here. This is human development, human sciences, very important in UPSC perspective exams, because that is where they look at human engineering, they look at behavioral engineering. From that perspective, they do look for answers, that too value-based answers, and this editorial will certainly help you in doing that. Now moving on to page number 8. Center yet to take call on 68 names sent by SC Collegium. Informative article, learn what Collegium is, done and dusted. Now moving on, security alert on threat of human bombs. Again, informative, exam perspective, security threat might be from not this article, but nonetheless the idea is important. So try to read it from that perspective. Now moving on to page number 9. Yes, a lot of political news. Now moving on to page 10 news. This is important. This is the interview from Saudi foreign minister. See, exam perspective might not be important, but having an understanding of how Saudi Arabia is looking forward to engage with India with the recent developments in Afghanistan and also in the entire region. From this perspective becomes important. Try to get the nuances that the interview is trying to expose. Now moving on to the next, anti-tank missile completes all trials. They're talking about a missile called Helena. Try to prelims perspective, what is Helena, what is its capabilities, where are we launching it, who developed it, why was it developed. Next, they talk about advanced light helicopters. Again, learn what advanced light helicopters are. Again, they talk about LCH, light combat helicopter. Again, what are light combat helicopters. From that perspective, this becomes a prelims article. Please do read it from that perspective. Now, moving on to the next, R&D labs transform livelihoods in Odisha poorest districts. See, this initiative is very, very, very interesting. This is the capacity of state, right, uniting together to address a problem. This is the ideal scenario where we see development happening in underdeveloped and poor regions of our country. From that perspective, read this article, try to understand what the initiative they are trying to say, who are involved in it, and what are the outcomes. This is a value addition. This is where you get your marks in mains. If you quote this as a possible solution to a problem, if and when asked, this will help you in getting good marks. Now moving on, PM will take a call on Afghan investments. See, this is where a lot of confusion. These are not investments. You are not getting anything in return. See, these are our humanitarian aid that we gave. We didn't expect anything to come out of it apart from the goodwill of people of Afghanistan. Okay, don't try to use the word investment, right? Because it is not investment. You are not looking for profits in that. Okay, these are aid, humanitarian aid, monetary aid that India gave to Afghanistan. From that perspective, read this article. This will certainly help you to give you an understanding of what Indian policy is towards Afghanistan. Now moving on to page number 11. France knew of Australia's grave concern. Again, this is related to AKUS, that is Australia, UK, America, United States trilateral security alliance through which Australia is going to get 8 nuclear propelled submarines. From that perspective, read this article, because France is really angry that Australia is cancelling their billions of dollars of worth of contracts. Now moving on, Taliban run Kabul government tells women workers to stay home. This is again in related to human rights and women rights issue in Afghanistan. India took a stance. India held its ground and said that we are not going to allow these kinds of things happening under Taliban rule in in Afghanistan. We need women's rights to be acknowledged. We need child to be educated. From that perspective, read this. Apart from it, don't worry. Now, Hong Kong's first patriots only election kicks off. Concept, read. Not important for exam, but having an understanding of what is happening in in Hong Kong, which happened to be completely overtaken by China, right? China annexed Hong Kong. So you know what international community did, which is nothing. Apart from that, I can't say anything more. So read it for understanding sake. Now moving on, North Korea expanding nuclear plant. Again, this is an issue in North Korea. Try to get an historical perspective of North Korea's nuclear program, how IAEA is involved in it, what are the issues there. Apart from that, not important as of now, but if it develops, we'll try to highlight it in the later. Now these are the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for competitive exams. Hope this has been helpful. If you are new here, please do subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any uploads that I am trying to bring forward to you. To like, comment and share it with your fellow travelers along the path so that they do get the help that we are trying to provide here. Once again, happy preparation. See you tomorrow. Stay safe. Namaste.